Welcome to Bridges Live. This is Dr. Paul Dyer. I'm with Anthony Hall, and he's calling from, we're talking from far away. You're in Kenya now, aren't you, Anthony?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi. I've been here for 3 months now, going into my 4th month in the Africa's largest urban slum, Kibera, or Kibra, as it's known here locally.
Yes, actually, one of my daughter's name is Kibra.
Ah, lovely. What a coincidence. Well, there are no coincidences, so this is great.
So let's get right into the show. I'd like to welcome everyone to Bridges Live, and this is Dr. Paul. You can always catch me on iHeart and iTunes Radio. You can always listen to me on Dr. Paul Holistic Science, or you can actually just email me at Dr. Paul W. Dyer, and that's with all your questions. But I want to get right into what Anthony's doing in Nairobi, and I know he's helping out, but I want people to understand what we're doing in this world of a global civilization. So, Anthony, tell us what you're doing there.
Well, we're developing an art, fitness, and literacy programs at some of the primary and secondary schools here in Kibra, and to really we try to help teachers make lifelong learning and fitness fun. And how to get kids active, how to get them creative, especially in areas that are kind of marginalized, like Kibera is.
What are some of the challenges you're going through now?
Well, the challenges. Well, actually, it's the main challenge is the bandwidth to help more people. What I've really been doing is I set myself, even as I'm working on these projects, and I wanted to live in the area, so I lived here in the ghetto for about a month. I was staying with a family in their home, and part of the project in this art, fitness, and literacy project, we're taking coconuts and we're having the kids paint them, and we do exercises on them. So once they're painted, we're creating a game called the Dragon's Egg. It's an imaginative game that really to kind of unlock a student's creativity. But they imagine they're standing on the back of a dragon while it's flying. How do you stay on? How do you not fall off? And so you got to do some dragon flying exercises. So me, in my character role as Grandpa Stork, I'm helping to deliver the story about the dragon's egg and dragon flying, and really trying to engage the children in a way that to make learning fun, where it's not they don't even know they're learning. They're all working out, and so the main challenge is that as I've been here and more get involved more in the community, more and more people know what I'm doing, and that what started off with 3 or 4 people, we had 13 today, and that wasn't even the regular crowd that normally comes. And so I'm doing an outdoor workout on the Dragon's Egg, the flying game, and teaching these young dragon flyers how to discover their superpowers, their hidden gifts and talents, and using flying as a metaphor for how learning and education really gives us freedom. And that go ahead. Sorry.
No. I so resonate with what you're doing, Grandpa Stork, a.k.a. Anthony, is that because I am the dragon, and that's what my nickname has always been, is Dragon. And I understand the flying, and I understand what it means to be free from all your constructs and all the things that tries to sicken us, whether it be physical, mental, emotional.
Exactly. And, there's a dragon inside of all of us, and how do we awaken that dragon? How do that the inborn power that we've been gifted with, and how do we discover it, how do we exercise it, and how do we apply it in our daily lives, but especially toward others, doing so, applying our gifts with compassion, humility, and integrity. We're learning that we take responsibility for that we've been given these gifts, and so we have a responsibility to develop them and to use them for the betterment of humanity.
So the question is for many would be, I love traveling, and I've been around the world a bit, but people who don't get out of their own way, their own neighborhood, their own block, How did you get to Nairobi?
Well, I first visited here in 2014, and actually that was when I've been on the road for 69 months now. I started off in February of 2014 when I decided to take these play-based learning concepts and games at a company that I started, the Rose of Education Organization, or TRAIO, as a EdTech, sports tech developer, incorporated in Ohio. And so, in 2010, I founded the company as a way to develop games and applications for my grandkids. I want them to have a leg up. I want to make, school wasn't fun for me, and so I wanted to make it engaging. How can we make it engaging for them? And so over that 4 years of just learning, I'm not an educator. I didn't go to college or university, but hadn't didn't double up for learning to thank my parents for. I wanted to learn, what the challenges the teachers have. Teachers in the U.S. teaching, minority boys, African American boys, 69 years old. That was the original target. And so, as I was talking to teachers and getting involved with organizations and volunteering, I began to kind of learn more what the challenges were, especially in the U.S. And then I started to connect with international teachers in Cambodia and in India and in Africa and in Ireland and Germany and France and so forth. And in 2014, I said, okay, let's take the show on the road. Let's see if we can test these concepts in the wild, where there really are some real challenges as far as infrastructure and access and education, and to see if these concepts, which I felt, had a truth within them that it shouldn't matter whether you have to use it on an iPod or a smart board or just, pencil and paper or chalkboard and chalk, and that these concepts, would stay relevant, in any way that it would be introduced. And so in 2014, actually in July of 2014, after about 6 months on the road, I came back to Africa. My first stop was Tanzania, but I also visited Nairobi to visit a school called Chiri Children Education Center. And they have a school in the slums, and they have about 500 students from grade 3 to grade 9. And I was invited here and introduced one of the literacy games. That's actually a part of the project that we're launching here now. Again, now that I'm back here in Nairobi, I was only here a week. The last trip. So this trip I'll be here. So I would have been here 6 months. And so yeah, it's.
One of the things you said was some of the difficulties that it is teaching African boys, black boys, and these African children. Children in a whole, but it seems like there is a difficult challenge to teach African American kids, black kids, in the States, outside the States. What is that you've noticed?
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily just, African boys. It's all boys in all the countries I've been. I mean, they're just rambunctious, destructive, got a lot of energy, and that's how I was growing up. My mother would yell at me, "Can you just be still?" Because after doing somersaults or walking on my hands in the living room and falling over and breaking her nice nice furniture, but I there's certain aspects of school I enjoyed, that kind of captured my attention. Science was one of them. I wanted to be a paleontologist growing up, but most of the time I'd rather be outside, like I am now.
Right.
I'm outside, and where I spend most of my time, and that for me has always been a more creative and engaging environment. Using my body just exploring and boys particularly. But that doesn't leave out our princesses, our little girls. I mean, I have 2 granddaughters, so they're the same way. Out running, trying to keep up with them, and so how to corral that energy, how to focus it, how to concentrate it, and turn it to their advantage, and so that they can use that energy and find ways to apply that And so it's like this. What for my experience now has been traveling, 5.5 years is that it's all kids, and particularly those who, have this kind of this pent up energy, and I think it's even more so because kids don't have outlets to feel like we did growing up. I mean, always outside from dawn until dusk, and kids now are more corralled, but especially when they're growing, they're thoroughbreds. They have all this energy, and so what do we do with that? And the challenge for teachers, whether it be in the U.S. or in countries here like in Kenya, is that they don't have, well, especially in countries like Kenya where they don't have play spaces, nice manicured spaces for kids and adults to work out, and kids just look at their own devices and walk through trash and human feces and blood. And, there's nothing like that here. So, Grandpa comes from the old school, sandlots, ball, but also having, cut my teeth in Silicon Valley working for hardware and software developers and seeing really, some of the concepts that I learned early in construction, as a carpenter apprentice and auto mechanics and so forth, that, the same principles and concepts apply when you're, building an application, software application or designing some new hardware. And that therein is there an opportunity then to introduce these concepts, STEM disciplines in a way that is more appealing, more engaging for these rambunctious kids who you have to get their attention. And what I found is that you can engage the body, you can free the mind to focus and through these games, and that we're developing this dragon flying, and that we're using to harness that energy and get them concentrate on balancing, but also get them to separate their mind, that they can, their body knows how to balance. Okay, now read this book, or spin this text, or do something else, and start seeing that, building a new relationship, get a bit strengthen mind-body connection, and also that kind of awareness, and kind of separating that awareness and recognizing we don't always have to be in control, but that we can share that control with our body and work on other things. I mean, that's what we normally do. I mean, when we repeat movements or jobs like washing dishes or mowing the lawn or vacuuming or something. I mean, your body's just doing it, and you're thinking and composing, talking on the phone, and you're doing something else, and don't even realize that you're going about your business. The same thing. Can we apply that in a game to really challenge the body and not only increase awareness, balance, and core strength, but also creativity, focus, concentration, and the like, and hopefully innovate education that way and engage more learners.
I actually believe that, one of the things for even teaching martial sciences and martial arts for so many years is that if schools adopted movement to education, whether it be English, science, or math, they would learn so much more authentically than if they're sitting on their butts, not doing anything, and being so static.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting what you mentioned about the martial sciences. One of the early names and kind of descriptors for the Dragon's Egg is the martial art of flying, and that a lot of the disciplines that are a lot of the movements I've adopted. I haven't trained in any way except what I've read and what I've seen and what I've kind of picked up. But, still, it's just like the study of anything. You find those truths that, okay, I see how, doing a horse stance on the Dragon's Egg for 3 minutes in this balanced position and trying to maintain proper position and breathing and so forth. And it just flows because it's really about, becoming one. Yeah. And with your thought and your actions, and that the whole idea of balancing on the back of a dragon while it's flying, it was just flowing, flowing with that movement where you just one. Even so even to be able to be still. I think that's what I've learned most from my study as a novice in practicing some martial sciences.
Well, I tell you, and that's where the Western part of society in these schools, and we know as a Grandmasters Council, we try to oversee these schools, but they're teaching horse stance as a physical action. And I try to break them down. I say, horse stance is non-physical. It's non-emotional. It's connected. It's connected to the ground. It's connected to your spine. It's connected to your hemispheres of your brain. It's connected all the way through your feet. If you're doing it in only muscle form, you're missing 90% of the action of what it is.
Yeah. And introducing those type of deeper concepts is where we were trying to go and with the dragon flying game and taking the walk of a sentinel or a superhero, learning to use their powers, learning to fly, and that these types of deeper philosophy, deeper truths of what these stances and what these forms were meant to be will introduce through this game in a manner that what they start to get it. Especially in areas where one of the challenges is language. So when we talk about in my travels, one of the challenges is language, and so how to introduce that whole holistic type of connectivity, that this is not just muscle movement. This involves your entire being, and then exploring those different aspects while you're in this position and thinking about it and dwelling introspective kind of approach that you're forced to if you go you can't allow outside distractions to keep you so it's meditative as well. And so introducing that kind of a form of meditation, the breathing aspects, what the form and then also what are they thinking about?
Right.
What are they thinking about as they're on it. And so we developed part of the game is what we call the litany of the sentinel. So the sentinels, as they go through their training, so you're doing exercises. In this, we're doing a 30-day challenge, 3 minutes a day for 30 days on the Dragon's Egg with Grandpa Stork, learning the ABCs of dragon flying, learning to stand, learning to sit, on the Dragon's Egg, basically sitting and standing on air. But, as they're taking this walk to find, to not only discover their talents and gifts, their superpowers, but the responsibility that they have to use that betterment of humanity. So the sentinels, as they get out, they don't count 4 sets of 40 reps. And, they're reciting this litany that reminds them about what the walk is. And if you like, I can recite this litany for you.
I would love to. I just want to remind people that you're listening to Bridges, and this is Dr. Paul Dyer. We're talking with Mr. Anthony Hall, a.k.a. Grandpa Stork in Nairobi, and he has developed, and he is bringing his passion to purpose. And his purpose, and I don't think if you have a passion, you are not developing anything. It's emitting from you. So when things emit from you, you're not developing. It is just what you are. So I like to say thank you. And yes, I want you to give us the litany of what it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we're developing is a video, not only a fitness application in the game, but also a virtual reality game. And so the Dragon's Eggs, what we're using our coconuts as a prototype, will become game controllers. So as you're standing on the egg, balancing, the embedded technology, pressure sensors, iron board, the Wi-Fi, RFI to communicate to your Fitbit watch or laptop or to the video screen, it calculates your workout, but also then translates you to flying on the back of a dragon. And so one of the things we're developing in this game is our sentinel characters, superheroes. And so, Grandpa has a couple of superhero identities, and now that I'm in Africa, we're developing one for Africa. And so what I just recently introduced was Juma, Juma, Sentinel's War. prepare the way for the Iron Kids of Africa. And so he, Sentinel will be introducing, basically one of the instructors instructing these young dragon fire Sentinel recruits. So Juma's reciting the litany of the Sentinels. And so it goes like this. That the earth may be one with the universe. Humanity may be one with the earth. The children of this sun awaken that we may all ascend, and may compassion reign. May compassion reign in all hearts. We offer ourselves, we give ourselves, we commit ourselves. We commit ourselves to walk in compassion, humility, and integrity. We are the sentinels of these times, and we stand committed. And so that is what the trainees and the players in the video game, and as we're doing in the schools and other projects and programs and other locations, they'll learn the litany of the sentinels. And so as they're going through this exercise form and working out, they'll learn to recite that. And one of the things early on when I developed the litany for myself as I started practicing and working, it's very interesting when you're balancing and you're reciting this litany. If for some reason I would always notice that if I'm having an issue with humility or compassion or integrity, it would be on that part where I lose my balance as I'm reciting. It's like, oh wow, maybe I need to work on compassion. Where haven't I been more compassionate? Where have I exhibited more pride and not humility and so forth and so on? And it turned it as a way to self-govern and monitor myself. Ultimately the game will do that with the technology embedded while you're standing, and it'll give you that kind of feedback of, how's your posture, and you got too much weight on your left side, or how's the transfer of weight and strength in the left leg as opposed to right leg. And so it'll give you all those readouts, but being able to also tune in to that in yourself as well for me was important. Without the technology, I want to be able to feel what that's like, feel what that imbalance like, or feel and understand that how our words and how what's going on in our subconscious
affects our body,
affect our conscious world, and that we can kind of reveal that, for me to reveal that, through this listening and through this practice of not only say that when I'm working out, now it's just become my prayer, my mantra, that I make sure that before I'm talking to somebody, like before we recite the litany, and then just make sure get my mind. The game is about getting the mind and body in the flow. The litany is part of the kind of the spiritual, the mindfulness aspect of the game, and so we're figuring that we can we can impact in a lot of areas just with one kind of simple concept.
But Grandpa Stork, aka Anthony, you are your whole name. It's just that you have, like I said, your purpose is your passion, and you've already tapped into what you call the consciousness of the hemispheres and of the global hemispheres. Our bodies are connective tissues to all actions of vibration. And in the vibration, it's not just the words, it's the intention of the words that we're connecting to. So when we're connecting ourselves to the protons and electromagnetic field of what the word, because sometimes words are archaic. They just don't mean enough to what we are truly feeling. And we try to do our best we can try to develop the words we can. Love, honor, integrity, respect. All those don't even come close to what we what we truly are to this earth and to this universe and to all things created. So it's
you're exactly right.
Go ahead.
You're exactly right. Words, language as we use is so limiting. But then, my last foray in my last job, I worked for a software developer, and it was interesting so I learned, even though I didn't learn C++ or Java or any other programming languages. It was just interesting that, as a student of languages, it was like, wow, interesting that they're creating a language to tell the computers to communicate with the machine to put these components together meaningfully and create a software hardware application. So language, I saw, actually language isn't real limiting, so part of the literacy game involves exploring language by turning words first like the letters of your name into an acronym, and then using those letters to define yourself, your qualities, your aspirations, your values, your principles. And that's also those same words like compassion and love, honor, integrity. Explore those words, dive deeper into their meaning using those letters.
Yeah.
So, and that is something that, and so that the words don't have to be limiting. They can actually, we can use a little bit of machine logic. We can help them expand, and we can take a word like love, and it becomes a whole sonnet, a whole story, just those 4 letters, all the acronyms. But then you continue the process and turn even those letters that you use, the words that you use to describe love in whatever context and relationship that you may want to define yourself and how you express love, how you experience love or honor. But you explore the language that you use through this process. And this is another game that we're developing along with the kind of the physical game, but then a kind of a literacy game to build vocabulary, creativity, critical thinking, and we call it the Real Names Game, spelled REAAL. And what it stands for is reciprocal expressions, acronyms, algorithms, and linguistics. Kind of a synthesis and an integration of these concepts to create the goal is to create an acronymic programming language, spoken word programming language. So why do I need to learn Ruby or Java if I can? What's wrong with the words that we speak?
Right.
Can we turn English language or Spanish into programming? So that's one of the ambitious projects we're working on, we've already been developing the literacy game aspect of it into having kids play the Real Names game and start defining themselves, practicing their English and building their vocabulary.
Which is,
but again, it's all,
I was teaching a lecture, I was talking about how we develop these constructs of what we are. And a lot of the times, most people develop the construct of that they're suffering and that they're in pain and that they're miserable, and then they try to define these words of getting out of that. But the words are the words are not what's resonating in the body on the cellular level. It's the intention of the vibration. We pick up resonance. We pick up what you call vibrational codes. It is not the words, it's the vibration. That's why when someone tells you who is so connected to you, and I have grandchildren and children, and where they say they love you, it means differently than someone else saying, hey brother, I love you, because it's the resonance, it's the signal, it's the vibration. That's what you're tapped into when you talk about the real name. You are tapping into your own personal vibration.
Yeah, and helping others to do that and really explore their identity, to really discover their essence and who they are uniquely, but coming from a place of joy and of contentment, of happiness, of being confident about who we are. I mean, the world will tell us everything. It wants us to believe they try to tell us who we are, but no one can tell us who we are but ourselves. And getting back to that sense of self, when we were kids, we knew we may not have known exactly what we wanted to do or been able to articulate it, but
right.
This is what I was doing. This is what I was doing when I was a kid, making games. Or not necessarily making games. What my interest was as an athlete, baseball and football, was really understanding what's happening in my body when I'm doing these, making these movements. I'm catching the ball in the crowd, and when do I need to jump? Or watching like, it was great watching Lynn Swan,
right.
Ballet through the air, and they do it in slow motion. And for me, because I had that kind of, almost a photographic memory for movement and motion, so I could see it movement, and then I could replay it in my mind backwards and forward. And so watching Lynn Swan, then I could take it apart and say, okay, what is this posture like? What is his body position like in the air? And so what must he be doing? What is he holding his breath? Is he breathing? So it just really, basically like reverse engineering, that performance. And that was how I learned and how I taught myself. But it was also a way to connect and kind of discovering that, because I really wanted to know what is going on, what's actually happening, and just really about discovering myself. And so many individuals, they've given up, or they've kind of lost their way to their self. But what's really interesting is that even though I thought maybe I had kind of gone off course and gone off track, and I hadn't followed my dream for so many years and done everything, but everything that I had done up to this point prepared me for what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Even without knowing it, that it was just it was an inexorable pull, because I think part of it was also that I was kind of followed stuff that I liked or was interested in. If I was interested in something, then I was in there, in the deep end, learning to swim, and that was the fun part of the learning. And I think maybe helping people to re-engage with their love for learning, and that it's okay to fall, and so this game, I tell you, but this game isn't about flying. It's really about conquering our fear of falling, our fear of failing. And that
our fears.
This confidence and resilience, conquering our fears, and not only conquering, but embracing our fears, and that we can get strength from that by confronting them head on, and saying, okay, come on now, I'm going to take you for a workout. I'm going to work out and exercise my fears, exercise my weaknesses, and we've just found this platform, the Dragon's Egg, as something that we feel is starting to gain a lot of momentum. We're for profit, and so we have a proof of concept of the Dragon's Egg with the technology-enabled version, and a prototype application that will collect that data as you're standing on the individual eggs, so that they communicate together, and then that to the application, it tells you, what your weight is and all that other stuff that you would expect in a fitness game.
So
this application.
Before we have to let you go and cut Bridges live here, I just want to let everybody know you're listening to Anthony Hall. We're talking, he's in Nairobi, and I'm obviously in the United States, and we're talking about a program he's developing, Dragon's Egg, and working with educating people, humanity, about themselves, getting in contact. And this is what we want to do, is for us, we want information, understanding, and creating action. Everyone has that ability. And before where can people contact you if they need help supporting your cause?
Okay, well, let's see. You can reach me via email at grandpastorks, but then that's at the end, grandpastorks.HOFD for House of Flying Dragons at gmail.com. Let's see, we have a LinkedIn Open Group, the Rose of Education Organization. We also have a Facebook page, YouTube, look for Grandpa Stork. We also have, we invite people to donate. We have an older crowdfunding campaign at GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com/dragons-egg, and it's still active, but we're planning on rebooting that and updating with pictures and videos from what we've been doing here. But please, we've asked people to donate $5. $5 will sponsor a day, to feed 12 dragonflies, 12 oranges, 12 bananas, 12 mandazi, which are kind of donut-like breakfast piece that they eat here, and water. And because that's part of it as well. You got to feed the dragon as well as feed our soul. And so we invite people to check check us out online. So we're on LinkedIn. I don't have anything, but I don't remember the group address, but it's the Rose of Education organization, and I look forward to. And I really thank you, Dr. Paul, for inviting me to speak to and tell a little bit of Grandpa's story and about what we're seeing and what's happening, all the good that's happening in the ghetto, and how we all can be a part of that, and as a global village, as a family, it doesn't take much to transform lives, and at the same time, we're transforming ourselves.
Absolutely. And we're going to put that information on the podcast to make sure people get it all clearly anyway. So, but this is not the end. This is not even the beginning, because it started thousands of years ago. We're just now joining in on the stream of consciousness to continue to do the things we're meant to do. Most people, like you said earlier, really touched me. I didn't know all what I was until I was where I needed to be.
I love that. Yeah, I love the way you put that. Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless, man. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Bridges Live. And this is Dr. Paul.